Go live with Cairo Qween, CollaboLive 106.5 FM. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. Go live with Cairo Qween, CollaboLive 106.5 FM. You are on the radio with me today. I have so much to talk about. It's Jazz Appreciation Month. It's April, finally. I know we were into it about, 16 days now. But listen, I have some great guests calling all the way from Seattle. Lots of people calling in. Lots of stuff going on. I'm about to post this on Facebook. I want you to tune in. This is Melvin Jones' Funky Town Shuffle, and we'll be right back. Go live. That is a little bit of Sean O'Brien Smith. Go live with Cairo Qween. That is sprung like a chicken. Sean O'Brien Smith. Go live with Cairo Qween. Thanks, Sean, for that cut. I kind of like that one. It's a little bit funky, you know. Sean's out of Nashville. Listen, I got a whole lot of stuff to talk about. It is Jazz Appreciation Month. Jody Mayfield's going to be joining me real soon. He's going to be calling in. I have some great people on the line. They're going to be talking to you a little bit about what they got going on with jazz out in Seattle and all around the world, Pan-American jazz. And listen, I want to send some major shots out really quick because I said, you know, I'm going to plug my sponsors from now on. So going forward, the people who are supporting me, I'm getting ready to support you. Check this out. I want to say a special shout out to some wonderful people. Nia Taylor, top-notch #1. I want to say thank you to you. You know, Lori Sosa and the Southern Barter Club. Big thanks to you guys out there. I want to thank, OSBO, Tana Tarano, OSBO.com. Check that out. Big business organization. You want to definitely check it out. You want to talk to some marketing people? HIH Marketing Events. Big time company called Magda. Big stuff. Kevin Pride or Pride K Business Solutions. Kevin is bananas. When I tell you the man is gifted, contact him. He does some wonderful things, marketing, all sorts of things, crazy connections. Big stuff coming on. Kim is out there from KLM IT Services. I want to give a shout out to all of you. Fantastic stuff they have going on. Man, I have the Sweet Auburn Music Festival coming up. May 18th through the 20th. I need you to be there. I'm running the Jazz and Blues stage. We got all sorts of wonderful things coming up. We got all sorts of people that are going to be there. K. John, you have Ruben Studdard. He's going to be there. Regina Bell. Lots of people are going to be there. It's going to be on another radio station, of course. But, you know, we'll be representing Collabo, big and strong. So, listen, we're on CollaboLive 106.5 FM, and we are now talking to the most handsome man in jazz, Mr. David Pierre Louis. Ça passe?
Hello, I think I'm losing you.
Yeah, apparently.
There you go. You got a better connection now.
Who's this? Is this Eddie? Eddie. Is this Dave or is this Ernesto?
This is Ernesto.
Oh, Ernesto, I'm talking to David, and he's not even on the phone. Okay.
Oh, that's
cool.
the confusion. Okay, I'll let you slide.
But it's okay. You can stay on the phone, too. Okay. This is, now, don't let me mess your name up. This is Ernesto
Petianco.
Petianco, Pan-American Jazz. He is going to come on and give you a whole nother spin of jazz music. I'm going to play some of his music, too, because it's bananas. Heard it out of, Lucid Jazz, the lounge, out in Seattle with my guy out there, David. Oh, wait, I got a call coming in already. Fantastic. Hold on one second. Thank you for calling CollaboLive 106.5 FM. You're on the line. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking to David.
Hey, Dave. Dave, I just got through plugging you. You weren't even on the phone. Listen, I'm going to pull you into this call really quick. Hold 1 second. Okay, so now I have David Pierre Louis, owner of Lucid Jazz Lounge in Seattle, Washington. And I also have Ernesto Petianco. I said it right.
Yes, very nice.
Fantastic. Okay, now we're doing big things. Okay. So, listen, Dave, I want you to talk a little bit about what you have going on out there at Lucid, because you are doing some awesome things. Listen, Jody Mayfield's going to call in, and so what we started to coin what you do, we call it hype jazz. We're calling it hype jazz because, see, to me, for all the people who thought jazz was boring, you have now put a whole new spin on jazz and made it really interesting, not just for, old lovers of jazz, but to incorporate new people, too, who can also enjoy jazz from a new standpoint. In this society where, hip-hop is king right now, you've done some major things with jazz music. You're doing live recordings here. I'll let you tell everybody about it. Introduce yourself first, and then tell me a little bit about what you have going on.
Hello out there to everybody listening to Cairo. This is an amazing evening for us. My name is David Pierre Louis. I'm the owner of Lucid Jazz Lounge here in Seattle, Washington. And for the most part, what we're doing is just supporting local artists. These are the people who keep the jazz. Who keep jazz alive in general. So my focus has been and always has been to focus on the local musicians and giving them an actual platform to showcase their music, and at the same time not pigeonholing them into a box where they have to play covers and standards, but allowing the music that inspired them to do what they're doing, so that they can actually provide opportunity to give birth to their own name for the most part. So what we've been doing is we've been recording and documenting all the music that's being performed, because a lot of it can be impromptu, a lot of it is actually composed and well written, and they just need a platform and an opportunity to be heard and seen by more than what I'm able to do within my space.
And so, give me a name drop, for some artists that are out there that, you feel that the world needs to know about. I know a few. We have one on the phone, but you have several recordings. In fact, tell people what the website is where they can go and listen to the music.
If they just go to lucidseattle.com and they click on Lucid Live Records at the bottom of the page, that will take you directly to Bandcamp site at the moment.
Lucid like insane, so that's LUCID. Seattle. Okay. .com. All right. And so do the name drop for me. Who are your big stars out there?
You can put me in a position here to forget somebody now.
Okay, well, for all of you who, we might forget, it's not that you were forgotten. It's just that, I just dropped, put him on the spot. and he has to come up with right off the top of his head who he can think of. So you weren't forgotten. It just so don't take it personal. But go ahead.
How many names you looking for?
Just run with it. Who do you want to play?
Yeah, to be honest, the beauty of this city is like every musician that I've come in contact with are amazing, and I'm thankful to be in this position to actually listen and support. But name dropping, I mean, I can go as Aaron Jones in the way he's not jazz, but his roots is jazz. He's more of a blues guy. You have Owa Runga, who's a trumpet player, amazing trumpet player. We have cats like Davey Neffos, Joey Walbaum, Isaac Castillo. We have these guys called the Reservoir Cats, but you have individuals like Evan Flory Barnes, Josh Rawlings, Jeremy Jones, Jason Parker. You have Mac Jaffe, which is a young high school bass player, up and coming, amazing. There's another young lady by the name of Quinn, who's a young saxophone player. She's about 16 years old, and she's very, very, very phenomenal. There's the groups like the IOUs, there's the Monkey Bat. I mean, they range from all over the place. I mean, I can probably feature, I've featured over 300 plus different bands over the past 2 years. If I really sit down and really put the pen to the paper, I probably would have featured maybe over 500 different groups. But there's a plethora of musicians out here that are keeping jazz alive. Unfortunately, it's not making it to the popular voice, but to the popular ear, excuse me. But definitely, with what we're doing here at Lucid, the goal is to definitely put jazz back on the mainstream so that it can really be appreciated and respected the way it should be.
Dave, I'm really proud of you. For those of you, I'm going to go ahead and plug this. David and I went to college together. And David is a wonderful person. Went to college together, and both of us wound up doing jazz stuff. That's interesting. But, I'm really proud of you. You're doing major things, and I know it seems hard at times, but you are phenomenal in what you're doing. With doing the live recordings there at the club, I think that is bonkers. And I think that you're, to create your own, music compilation is just, bananas. I really want to get to playing some of this, but I want to talk to Ernesto for just a minute. I'm going to come back to you, David. Okay? Sure. I want to talk to Ernesto because Ernesto literally took me to school this morning on the phone. So Ernesto Petianco is, for all practical purposes, would you say you're a jazz purist?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm losing you a little bit here. We have a little radio phone here.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you faintly.
I'm faint?
Okay, it's a very faint signal. I'm barely making you out.
Darn it.
Might be on your side. Can you hear me well?
No,
can you hear me clearly?
I hear you fine. Okay, so Ernesto, Ernesto is actually he's gone through the whole entire music education where you've been a professor, correct?
Well, I'm not a certified professor, but as a percussionist, an ethnic percussionist as well, there is no formal training, at least not when I was young. I started my career in 1973, and there was no such thing as even a publication for authentic Latin, Brazilian, and ethnic folkloric music of the Americas. It had not yet been documented, and so I had to do all my own research, and through listening through the LPs and reading the liner cover notes and such. And my music environment was very eclectic because I'm of mixed blood, and I was raised in a very mixed culture community here, which is actually, I was raised on the corner of what is Martin Luther King Boulevard and Jackson Street in Seattle, which is now considered the original black music cabaret district of the Seattle area. This is where Ray Charles used to play and Quincy Jones. And I remember my father bringing me to see the Cab Calloway Big Band when I was a child. He knew someone in the band. He got me backstage, and I was able to experience the show. And, I remember the music from watching Betty Boop cartoons, And so I was introduced to big band music at a young age, and so I was a dancer first. And because I loved music as a dance aficionado.
Wait, hold up. What kind of dancer?
R&B, and I also do salsa. I also do folkloric music, like Cuban folkloric music, Puerto Rican folkloric. And right now I'm doing Afro-Peruvian, and I've been working with a lady I mentioned to you, Susana Baca, who is a Grammy winner. And she was renowned for reintroducing the music of Black Peru, which goes back 500 years. It's some of the earliest black presence in the New World, because it was the first city built in the New World, and that's Lima, Peru. And just by coincidence, this woman has documented Afro-Peruvian music. She's toured. She's a Grammy winner. I performed with her both in Seattle and in Peru. And she is now the Minister of Arts in Peru under the new presidential administration there. So she's come a long way, and she's very much a big part of black pride in a place like Peru, where a black community is a minority. But the music of Black Peru, through its instrumentation and through the music grapevine of musicians, is now a global thing, and goes back to Marshall McLuhan saying the world is so completely wired by modern media that people are hearing and accepting musical sounds from all over the world. And the richest melting pot of that, of course, is in the United States. But jazz is a blanket term, just like rock is a blanket term. And our curriculum focuses on a few, say 4 or 5 veins of what we call jazz, but yet, as a musician, you have to explore the broader horizon. What are all the elements that we call jazz? Well, it comes from dance cultures, and those dance cultures are, for the most part, coming from the black culture.
Okay.
Of the Americas, which is, the Caribbean, Central, South America, North America, of course. And
Ernesto.
It's amazing to me when musicians are not aware of that.
Hold on for a second, okay?
Yes.
Hold on. Go live with Cairo Qween, CollaboLive 106.5 FM. Who am I on the line with?
Hey, Cairo Qween, this is Jody Mayfield.
It is the wonderful Jody Mayfield. Jody, hold on. I'm going to plug you into this call, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so now we're being joined by Professor Jody Mayfield. We have Ernesto Perianco, and we have David Pierre-Louis. Ça passe? Yeah, he did it to me again. Anyway, okay, somebody who's on the call, I need you to take your background and turn it all the way down so that we don't pick it up on this side. I have a big echo. Oh, wait, somebody dropped off. David dropped off. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
David's here in the room with me. We're in his bar. We're in Lucid right now.
Okay, awesome. Oh, we're at Lucid. Hey. So listen, I have Jody Mayfield on the phone, and Ernesto was just giving us a rundown. What I want to do right now is I want to give out the phone number, first of all, 404-567-5831. You can call in. You can speak to these fantastic musicians and music laureates. You can call 404-567-5831 from anywhere on the face of the planet. Talk to me, talk to anybody who's on this phone. You can watch live at www.livestream.com/CollaboMusic. That's CollaboMuzik. Okay, now, and shouts out to everybody in Atlanta at 106.5 FM and all the people who are in New York listening on Rhythm Up Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. Listen, we're going to go into this song. We were talking about this earlier today. This song that has no name or doesn't have a name.
Well, you know what? I listened to that track, the second track, and my recollection, there is no, it's not a standard thing. I think that is an original piece by our piano player, Eric Verlindi. And coincidentally, the night that we recorded that, our original bass player was unavailable to make it. So at the last minute, local bass player here in Seattle that plays often at Lucid, he came in to fill the gap, and like a trooper, man, he just made it swing. He just brought it to life. Yeah, he's that sharp, and he's that, well developed for his young age, and very impressive. And that's part of what goes on here at Lucid. You have veterans working with young musicians, and we're sharing ideas, and we're kind of like, keepers of the flame, and we're passing the torch.
I told David this is kind of like Cadillac Records going on over there. This is Lucid Jazz Live. And what'd you say the name is? Ernesto?
The name of which?
What'd you say?
The name of which?
Remember it?
No, I don't know. I don't recall the title. I don't recall it.
Why don't we call it No Words? we're, for the sake of this show, we're going to call this song No Words. Okay.
We'll call it Sad Lucid.
Okay, Lucid. I heard David say that. So listen, this is Lucid, and this is by Ernesto Perianco out of Seattle, Washington, Pan-American Jazz. And we'll be right back. Listen to this song. It's hot.
jazz, baby.
Okay, go live with Cairo Qween, Collabo Live 106.5 FM. That was Ernesto Perianco. And that was the words, what was it called? Lucid Jazz, no words. So that was straight out of Seattle. That was some raw live music. I can't believe that was like live. That's crazy. And it's still going. But anyway, that's cool. So listen, well, I have Ernesto on the phone, and Jody is on his way here, so we're about to really get it in with some great jazz music. And I'm probably going to turn this down a little bit, even though I really want everybody... You know what? Let's just let it ride for a minute. Is that okay with you, Ernesto? We'll finish the song out? Okay. Go ahead. Playing the music. All right, now we're back. Go live with Cairo Qween, Collabo Live 106.5 FM Atlanta. And we are on live at www.livestream.com/Collabo Music. And in New York on the Rhythm Up Network. And I think we're down in Miami on the heavy. So that's pretty cool. And now we're being broadcast in Seattle because Ernesto Perianco just blew me away with that song. I love that song. I really do. And I love live music. That's the whole point of Go Live. So, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about the foundations of jazz music. This is Jazz Appreciation Month. I'm going to continue to say that until I hammer it into people's heads. We ought to be having parades and festivals all throughout the country. But
that's right.
We should have a national holiday, jazz. I think Jody's here. Is that him? So, anyway, let's continue that conversation about the foundations of jazz music.
Well, from my perspective, you know, I look at jazz as the big picture, and the reason why I use the theme Pan-American jazz is because jazz is a product of cross-culturalization of the New World in its entirety. All the cultures that came here all brought their music, and they all contributed to the development of music and the modernization of music now. So, I mean, you even listen to our rhythm and blues and our rock and roll, if it is straight four, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's based on cha-cha-cha, which is a Cuban invention. Before that, you know, we're either playing swinging or we're playing blues. We're playing triplet kind of feel music. We're playing gospel, or we're playing European-based music like Irish jig, the polka, mazurka, or things of that nature, or military music, you know, those kind of bands. But everything else is, you know, coming in, you know, you listen to Smooth Operator by Sade, and that is actually a Cuban cha-cha done by a contemporary band using the same rhythm to construct their music. Quincy Jones, when he wrote Billie Jean for Michael Jackson, that's very Cuban sounding, like a charanga orchestra, Cuban cha-cha-cha with a string section in it. So, you know, it's an example of how contemporary music and jazz doesn't identify all the elements that created what we call jazz, but jazz is very rich, and it's not a melting pot that turns gray. It's more like a salad bowl where all the ingredients have their own unique color and their own flavors. And when we put them together in whatever variety, that is where you get all the flavors of what we call jazz now.
I like that. Jazz. It's a salad bowl.
That's right. And, you know, like I said, you know, jazz originally also, another good point is that jazz originally was dance music. And the term jazz is actually something actually a derogatory term.
Say that one more time.
And now we breathe all this life and pride into the term now.
Wait, Ernesto, repeat that statement one more time. I say this all the time, and people are like, no, jazz isn't. Yes, it is. Jazz is what?
Well, jazz is originally dance music.
Party on.
And the term jazz was originally a derogatory term.
Thank you.
And now it's a term that indicates pride and richness of our culture.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, for all the people who think jazz is like ancestor worship, dead music, you know, jazz is alive and it's full of energy. And I mean, that's why I really appreciate what David has done with Lucid Jazz. Because I mean, you know, we have recordings, but I think there's something to give back to jazz when we start doing the live recordings. Because, you know, our legends, you know, they became legends from their live recordings. So, I mean, to be able to capture that, you know, in the club, raw improvisation, you know, and get that actually captured and give it back to the people, I think is amazing. And I really commend him for doing that. And you, because you actually put that track down. That was awesome.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what's all encompassed in that song? What do you have? Timbala and...
Well, when you listen to the song, it's you know, like I said, it's not a stated form. You know, you won't hear song form like A, B, B, A in there. You will hear a little bit more looser because, you know, in Latin music and Brazilian music, there are C's and D's in there. You know, so there's many more sections. It's not designed for radio play to be 3 minutes long. And it's not just repeating the verse. It is very spontaneous, and that is a key ingredient to jazz, is that it is improvisational, and it is spontaneous, and it's creative, and it explores. It explores variations of what can you do with this established foundation of the music that will breathe life into it. And then there's, you know, there's that playing off of the musicians where we have some call and response. And me as a percussionist, you know, in addition to finding a foundation where I can gel and be the catalyst between the rhythm section and the other percussion section and establishing rhythm, I am pretty much like, you know, I'm a hand drummer, so my hands are tap dancing a choreography to the music around me. And so I have interplay with the musicians just as the musicians have interplay with each other. So contrary to the popular notions that drummers are not musicians and that we're just the roadies to the musicians, we are in fact musicians and we have musical spirit. And what we try to bring in, me as a percussionist and having a lot of ethnic foundation in my explorations, I try to bring that back into contemporary music and jazz. And I try to educate younger people that they need to explore those horizons and those veins of culture, because the music of the future is not going to be some sci-fi, Star Trek sounding music. It's just going to be more increasingly multicultural, and we're going to be able to use the ingredients from all these cultures and understand them in their folkloric original art form, and now we can embellish it as we fuse it to what we call jazz or even just contemporary dance music. So in that sense, I am desperately seeking fusion.
I love fusion. I love the fuse because, see, for me, that's what's going to keep everything alive as far as jazz is concerned, and to be able to break it out into different genres and markets where it's not being marketed is that actual fusion. I had a meeting today with several people who are in marketing and who are working on a project for me, and they were asking me, well, don't you want to bring jazz into the hip-hop culture? And I'm like, heck yeah, you know. When hip-hop is ready to receive jazz, you know, in the form of jazz, you know, not in the form of a hip-hop song, but to bring it to the hip-hop community in the form of jazz and encompass hip-hop, you know, or to take it to rock, you know, take it back to, I mean, because really, you know, pulling it and pushing it back into all these different genres is really a need that I see personally to try to push it outside of the realm that is jazz, because the jazz community itself is a niche market. Now, to take it and expand it out to different places, I think that's where fusion is really going to help jazz music right now. To get those other people who are out there who haven't experienced jazz, but to bring them in and to invite them in as a a welcome pack. You know, here's Fusion. Walk into straight ahead. You know, something like that.
That's right. Well, you know, that's an interesting point because, you know, a lot of us musicians that study music as musicologists, and we look way back, we look decades back and back, we look at what everyone's done of notoriety and what all the pioneers have done. And when we listen to hip-hop, we see it as a repackaging of something
jazz.
that's already been done in other cultures. It didn't make the mainstream. Good music seldom does because the worst thing ever happened to the industry is the industry.
I agree.
It tends to cater to the lowest common denominator and put whatever the formula is current, popular now, you know, and it's pure music. People are exposed to music because of peer pressure, and they jump into it because they all want to be part of that society and be accepted. But when you escape those boundaries, then you start exploring music. Then you realize that hip-hop is like a readdress of earlier musical expressions. It's that we're doing it now with a contemporary backdrop, you know, of our own urban culture in our present decade. You know, you listen to Cuban music, you listen to a lot of even bebop and things like that, even Cab Calloway. I mean, these guys were rapping to music and they were creating all kinds of different rhythms. Their rhythms that they played may be different than what we're doing today. What we're doing today is actually more simplified in hip-hop. You know, the rhythm patterns and everything and the background behind it, because it's just a rhythm bed for the poet, the singer, to do his thing. And
Ernesto
becomes the instrumentalist.
Ernesto, I'm going to put you on the spot really quick because I know you're a drummer and percussionist. So give me a little bit of what rap was, Cab Calloway style.
Rap was, if you ever watched the movie Stormy Monday, you will see Cab Calloway on a podium in front of his band, and he's quoting from this huge book. Looks like you know, the Old Testament and New Testament piled on top of each other, and he calls it his Hipster's Dictionary.
Right.
And hipsters, you know, and the word hip is actually not hip; it's hep, H-E-P. In the Hipster's Dictionary, he was quoting what we now call as jive. You know, and jive was the slang of their day, and a lot of what he's saying, the metaphors that he used, was all in slang terminology, just like we have our current slang today, and we use those same metaphors in our music. He was doing the same, and he was quoting, and he would sing, and he would rap with the background of a big band.
Okay,
and so he was already doing that.
Give me an example like that versus what a scat might be.
Well, for instance, he's got a song called "A Chicken Ain't Nothing But a Bird." You know, you can roast it, you can broil it, you know, eat it with tomatoes, rice, or potatoes. A chicken's still what you got. It was a dish for old Caesar, also King Henry III. But let me call it that, and let me call it this. A chicken ain't nothing but a bird. You know, and so he was just using rhyme, and he was quoting, and he was like professing, and he was like using rhetoric, like you would see, you know, like you go to a church and you would listen to a reverend, and the way he would address the congregation with profound rhetoric. That's the way Cab Calloway was. And in other words, he was sending a poetic message. It was entertainment music, but it was rapping, and then he could also sing too. I mean, he wasn't limited to just rapping. Rap was not the art form. It was just an ingredient that you would use in your creative arsenal.
Oh, that's crazy. So, okay, so in difference to scat, give me a version of what scat would be.
Well, scat would be, say, you hear a soloist and playing saxophone, for example, and you remember the solo lines that he would do. And if you were to sing those solo lines yourself, you become the instrument, and you are addressing the music as a instrumental voice. And so if you're going do ba be dee beep boom ba dee ba da ba dee dee do ba 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 boom ba dee 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 ba da 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 ba, you know, you're doing rhythm and you're doing notes, and you're kind of like, you know, and if you're a developed vocalist, you know, you can utilize your harmonics and your melodic structure, and you do it with a lot of craft. I'm not a vocalist, I can't do it. Like, you know, I'm not Ella Fitzgerald, obviously, you know.
Right.
but I would, you know, testify to everyone that Ella Fitzgerald was my favorite scat artist because she had it all.
I love scat. Okay, so let's go into a little bit more music, and then we'll bring you back. I guess David is somewhere back there with you. I have a new guest that came in the door, Mr. rocker. Listen, we're going to go cover a couple songs, and then we'll be right back, okay? This is an Army cut. Now, I always make fun of the Army. Mr. Rocker, you can sit here. I make fun of the Army, and, or I should say the Army band. This is a guy I know, trumpet player named Arzo Theroux. And Arzo is out of Alabama, and this song is a New Jersey track. That's what he called it. So this is what they do in the Army. And then I'll go to another cut. We'll bring you back with David, I guess. And then by that time, Jody Mayfield should be here. So I'm going to go ahead and play the song now. And we'll be back. Go live. Go live with Cairo Qween.